Do you know the unwritten rules of camping?
Stay tuned and we will tell you. Welcome to the channel. I'm Liz.
And I'm Paul, and these are exciting times to push past fear, build confidence, and live amazing.
And you definitely need to build confidence if you're going to go out there and live the RV life, especially if you've never done it before. And in today's video, we're going to talk about the unwritten rules of campground life.
Yeah, the etiquette of living in a campground. There is an etiquette out here, and people get annoyed if you break certain rules. And like Liz said, they're not written down anywhere. So you just have to learn them, sometimes the hard way, the way I learned some of them.
Right. So when you check into a campground, they're going to give you a list of rules: drive 5 miles an hour, pick up your dog poop. This is not what we're talking about. We have a list of, I don't know, like 5 or 6. And I think we're going to go from bad to worst. But I actually want to start with one that's pretty bad because most people don't know this one, right? How did you learn the rules? Because I've been camping since the 90s, and I've been camping all over the Midwest and the Southeast and the West Coast. So I've been out there a while, but you're new to this.
Yeah, I'm fairly new to this. I've only been out a little under 2 years now, and when I started out, I really didn't know a lot of these etiquette rules. And the one that you're talking about, the way I learned that one is somebody was kind enough to tell me that this is sort of verboten out here. You don't do this.
You just don't do that.
So rule number 1 is you don't knock on somebody's door.
Right. This is an unwritten rule, and you may learn it the hard way. But the reason why is this is not like knocking on the front door of a house or an apartment where when they open it up, you see their living room or an entrance hall. When they open the door in the campground, you see their whole life. You definitely see their kitchen, the living area, sometimes the bathroom and the bedroom. So it feels like an intrusion of privacy. So basically, if you want to talk to somebody, you what?
You wait until they're outside.
Hello. Yeah, because most people in campgrounds are in and out. But there may be an emergency where you really have to knock on their door. We were at a campground once, and I noticed that a neighbor had a water leak, and I realized I needed to knock on their door. So the way to knock on someone's door, if you absolutely have to, is to go up, knock on the door, and then step back, step so far away that there's no way you can see inside their rig. Unwritten rule number 2 is about your black tank.
The black tank is always on the side facing your neighbor.
It's not on your door side.
Yeah, it's on their door side. So if they're out there eating, you certainly don't want to pull the black tank. I mean, you're dumping your sewer, and there's just no escaping the smell that's going to come out of that.
Right. There's often a smell when you pull your black tank. And here's the thing, many campgrounds, you're close enough to your neighbors that they can smell when you pull the tank.
In the campground we're in right now, for instance, the spaces are very close together. Our neighbor's awning is almost touching the side of our trailer, touching the slide that's behind us here.
And then, so you want to dump it when your neighbors aren't around. You want to do it early in the morning or late at night or just when no one's around, because there could definitely be a smell.
One other quick comment about black tanks for people that are new to this. Never leave your black tank open. Let it fill up and then dump it. And the reason for the never leave it open is you end up with, I don't know how to say this politely, but you end up with a poop pyramid at the bottom of the tank, and over time it will get big enough that it will clog your tank.
And also you're letting sewer gas in by keeping your black tank open.
Unwritten rule number 3 is stay within your site boundaries.
That means make sure that your slide doesn't overhang to your neighbors, that if you have an easy up or a dining tent, make sure that all that is within your boundaries. And this segues into the next unwritten rule, and that is don't walk across your neighbor's site. Sometimes the way these sites are laid out is you're leaving and you're wanting to just run up to the laundry or whatever, and you see a shortcut. Well, just don't walk across their site. And that also means when you're trying to access part of your own site, right?
Yeah. For instance, if I wanted to get to the wet bay from around the back of our unit, I would have to walk through the neighbor's site to do that. If I go around the front, I have easier access and I don't encroach on the neighbor's site. The next unwritten rule, and actually this one's written in a lot of park rules, but there's also an unwritten part of this, but noise. Try to keep it down after a certain hour and before a certain hour in the morning.
So even if there is a quiet time of, let's say, 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., right at 7 a.m., you don't want to be banging around because a lot of people are on vacation, they're sleeping in. So if you are packing up and you know that you're going to pull out of there at 7 or 7:30, the courteous thing to do is to pre-pack the night before.
I was in El Centro when the broken hand situation happened, and when I found out that I was going to drive from El Centro to 6.5 hours from El Centro to Santa Barbara, I was set up the night before. I was in a site where I could hook up my truck to the trailer, and I got out of there before 6 a.m. without making any more noise than starting my truck up and pulling out.
This next unwritten rule is the most serious because of the potential for safety issues, or all kinds of things could go wrong if you violate this rule. And it has two parts. The first part is don't talk to people while they're backing into a campsite or while they're hitching or unhitching. You don't want to distract people during this part, which is about safety, right? Particularly if they're hitching up and leaving, or if they're trying to get into the site. So what happened when we were in Vegas? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we were trying to back into the park in Vegas, and it was really tight. I mean, the front of my truck and the swing when I was backing in was, I mean, you could have put a matchbook barely between the front bumper and the car that I was trying to avoid in front of us. So yeah, it was very stressful, and I'm sure well-meaning neighbor came out to introduce herself and
So what had happened was this woman apparently had not talked to anybody in days or weeks, and she had a lot to say, and she started telling us her life story, and there was lots of conversation. Well, if you are new to this RV life, let me tell you that the most stressful part of the life is backing in and setting up. You really need to be focused, and maybe you've been driving all day, so you're a little tired. Maybe you've just had a long day. So it's important not to be distracted by neighbors. And then we had that happen in reverse when we were leaving Florence, and we were hitching up, and there were certain things you have to do, like make sure that the ball is closed and locked, yeah, right. And
which in this case didn't happen
because we were what?
Yeah, we were talking to a neighbor, and
it was so nice to talk to them and socialize and hope we'd see them again, but the timing was bad.
Yeah, it was, and we got down the road and looked at each other and said, "Oh my God, did we lock the ball?" And we were on a stretch of road where we couldn't pull off. It was a narrow, windy mountain road
with guardrails. There was no shoulder.
And I was sweating bullets, wondering, and then to make it worse, not only did we not lock the ball, but we forgot to put the safety chain. It would have been catastrophic had we hit a big enough bump where the trailer would have, I don't even like to think about the potential damage that could have happened.
So learn from us. I mean, it's really scary to admit the mistakes that we made, even though we use a checklist. We just got distracted. Anyone who's been camping for a long time probably has a story like we have. But if you're new to this, just know that this is something that you want to look out for. And then there's a part B to this unwritten rule. And that is, if you see people backing in, you don't just run over and go, "Hey, oh yeah, you've got it." Talk about that Woody Allen movie.
Oh yeah, there's a movie where he's directing somebody to park, and the guy hits the car behind him. And Woody Allen said, "You got it," and walks away. Yeah. So they may be well-meaning people. You don't want to take that responsibility. So don't run out there and offer help. Yeah, if they ask you for help and you feel confident doing it, then by all means. But just be mindful that if something happens, there may be some liability there on your part. So
right, it's not just looking at the back of the rig, but the height.
if there are trees, you want to watch tree limbs. I mean,
yeah. You may not know how their rig turns and swings, or the delayed reaction.
I have enough stress backing in my trailer without having somebody else that I don't know telling me what to do.
Well, there's some campground etiquette even for boondocking, actually.
Sure. Well, the knocking on the door applies.
Right. Not boondocking right next to them.
Right.
You if you're out in the desert and you see one camper, you don't pull right up next to them.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And that's a tough one, because I've asked people that do a lot of boondocking, what is that distance? And nobody really has a number, but
I think it depends on the density of the area, how many campers are already there. You just want to match the density.
Yeah.
So let us know what unwritten rules we may have missed. It may be different in your part of the country, so absolutely share with us your unwritten rules, and we'll see you in the next video.